The Broken Starship, HFY sci-fi story. The night was silent on the edge of human space. A small outpost sat on a lonely desert world, forgotten by most star maps. Inside a worn metal hangar, a human mechanic named Ethan Cole worked under a flickering light, his hands covered in oil and dust, fixing a cargo drone that had seen better days. He had lived alone for years, surrounded by scrap and silence, far from the noise of the big colonies. The only thing that ever broke the quiet was the hum of his tools or the occasional radio call from passing freighters. But that night, something strange filled the sky. A sharp sound like tearing metal echoed from above. Ethan looked up through the open hangar roof and saw a streak of fire cut across the black sky. It wasn't a meteor. It was moving too fast, too controlled. The object broke apart and crashed somewhere in the canyon beyond his outpost. The ground shook. Sand and smoke rose like a wave. Ethan froze for a second, then grabbed his light pack and old hoverbike. His heart beat faster. Maybe it was another smuggler's ship, maybe something worse, but his curiosity always won over fear. He drove into the canyon, the cold wind biting against his face. When he reached the crash site, his eyes widened. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It wasn't human design. Its surface shimmered with smooth black metal that seemed alive. Glowing blue veins pulsed across its hull. Steam hissed from cracks, and strange symbols burned faintly near the cockpit. Cautiously, Ethan approached. "Hello? Anyone inside?" he called out. No answer. Then he heard a faint voice, soft, weak, and not quite human. "Help. Please." He tore open the side panel using his plasma cutter. Inside, he found her, a woman, or at least she looked human enough, pale silver skin, hair that shimmered like white fire, armor cracked and glowing with fading light, her eyes half open, filled with pain and confusion. Without thinking, Ethan lifted her out. She was light but cold to the touch. Her skin felt almost metallic. He carried her back to his bike and rushed toward his hangar, the stars above burning bright and silent. When they arrived, he laid her gently on his repair table. The hangar lights flickered as if reacting to her presence. She whispered something in a strange language, her voice echoing faintly through the room. Then, in broken English, she said, "Ship. Must fix. Please." Ethan stared, amazed that she spoke at all. "You're hurt, forget the ship, you need help," he said, but she shook her head weakly. "No. Ship first. They will come." He didn't understand, but he saw the fear in her eyes. So he started examining the alien vessel. Its engine was smoking. A cracked reactor core hummed dangerously. The technology was far beyond anything human engineers had built. It was elegant, alive, almost breathing. As Ethan worked, he kept glancing at her. She lay on the table, breathing slowly, light from her armor casting soft reflections across the walls. He wondered where she came from. What kind of world could create such a being? After hours of effort, he managed to stabilize the main systems. Sparks died down, and the reactor light dimmed to a soft glow. The ship was still too damaged to fly, but it wouldn't explode anymore. When he turned around, she was standing, weak but awake, her eyes now glowing faint blue. "You fix ship," she said quietly, her voice clearer now. "You human. Why help?" Ethan wiped sweat from his face and gave a tired smile. "Because you needed help, and I was here," he said simply. She tilted her head, confused, as if the concept of helping without reward didn't exist in her world. She looked around the hangar, full of rusty machines, old posters, and human tools. Everything about it felt so fragile compared to the sleekness of her ship. Suddenly, a warning light flashed on Ethan's screen. An orbital scan detected incoming signals. Several fast-moving drones entering the planet's atmosphere, unidentified origin. The woman's expression changed instantly, her eyes widened. "They found me," she whispered, her hand trembling. Ethan frowned. "Who? Who's coming?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Hunters. They will destroy this place to find me." Ethan's heart pounded. "Then we hide you," he said, pulling a tarp over the ship. shutting down power lines, cutting every external signal. She watched in silence as he moved quickly, not asking who she was, not demanding answers, only acting. The sound of engines roared outside. Bright lights swept across the canyon. Drones scanning for energy traces. Ethan and the woman crouched behind a crate, their breath silent. Her glowing eyes dimmed as she whispered something in her native tongue, and the lights passed without stopping. When it was over, Ethan exhaled, shaking his head. "You weren't kidding," he said, trying to sound calm. She looked at him, her voice soft but strong. "You risk your life. For me?" He shrugged. "Guess I'm just a bad judge of danger." For a moment she almost smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes too. "You don't know who I am," she said quietly. Ethan chuckled. "No, but I'm starting to think you're more than just a pilot." She said nothing, just looked toward her damaged ship, a faint glow pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Outside, the desert wind carried the echo of engines far away, but inside that hangar a strange silence grew, the kind that comes before something big, something that could change a man's life forever. Whispers of Power, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The desert sun rose slowly over the horizon, painting the metal walls of Ethan's hangar in gold and red. The alien woman sat silently on a chair near the workbench, her armor half repaired, her gaze fixed on the strange symbols glowing faintly on her wrist plate. Ethan placed a cup of steaming coffee in front of her. "You look like you could use this," he said softly. She looked at the cup curiously, sniffed it, then took a sip. Her expression changed instantly. Surprise flickered in her silver eyes. "Warm, strange, but good," she whispered. He smiled. "That's coffee, the best invention humanity ever made." She repeated the word slowly. "Coffee," as if trying to memorize it, her accent thick but gentle. The hangar was quiet, except for the faint hum of machines. Ethan kept working on her ship, trying to understand its alien structure. The deeper he looked, the more impossible it seemed. The ship wasn't just metal. It reacted to his touch, shifting slightly, like it had a will of its own. "Your technology. It's alive," he muttered. Half to himself, she nodded slightly. "Bioreactive alloy bound to my life force," she said, her tone calm but proud. He blinked, not sure if he heard her right. "Your life force? You mean it's connected to you?" Her eyes met his, glowing faintly blue. "Yes, only I can command it, that's why they want it," she said quietly. Ethan frowned. "Who are they?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Hunters, sent by those who wish my death." Ethan didn't press further, but inside, he knew she was hiding something far bigger than just a bounty. He could feel it in the way she looked at the sky, like someone who had seen stars most people couldn't even imagine. Hours passed, and Ethan finished sealing the cracks in the ship's outer hull. He wiped his hands on a rag and turned to her. "Your ship's power core is unstable. It needs a part I don't have, something that can handle high-frequency plasma conduction." She looked at him, then at her armor, and without hesitation, removed a glowing crystal from her chest plate. "Use this," she said. Ethan stepped back. "Wait, that looks important." "It is," she replied calmly. "It is my heart link. But without it, the ship will die, and so will I." He froze, torn between logic and compassion. "You're saying if this fails, you die?" She nodded. "If the link breaks, my body cannot survive in this atmosphere." Ethan wanted to protest, but her calm eyes silenced him. He took the crystal carefully, feeling a faint pulse from it, like it was alive. He began working, inserting it into the ship's core housing. The light spread through the engine like veins awakening. While he worked, she watched him quietly, her thoughts drifting. She had seen countless species, countless faces, greedy, cruel, ambitious, but none had ever helped her like this. A simple mechanic on a forgotten world risking everything for a stranger. Suddenly, the power reading spiked. A burst of light filled the room. Ethan stumbled back, his arms burned from the heat, but he stayed steady. "Almost there." He gritted his teeth, tightening the stabilizer rings. Finally, the ship's core settled, humming steadily again, blue light glowing like calm ocean waves. Ethan exhaled in relief, his hands trembling slightly. She stood beside him now, her armor faintly glowing again. The air around her felt heavier, stronger. She looked at him with quiet admiration. "You did it," she said softly. He grinned. "I fix things. That's what I do." Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "You fix more than things," she whispered, but he didn't hear. Suddenly, the radar on Ethan's desk beeped. A new signal appeared. Multiple ships entering orbit, not the same as before, bigger, stronger, and armed. Ethan's stomach turned. "You've got company again," he said quickly. She looked at the display, her expression darkened. "Not hunters, soldiers." "Yours?" he asked. "No," she said quietly. "The ones who betrayed me." The air seemed to grow colder. Outside thunder rolled even though the sky was clear. "What are you going to do?" Ethan asked, gripping his wrench like it was a weapon. She looked at him for a long time, her glowing eyes softening. "Hide if I can. Fight if I must," she said, her voice low. Then she touched the ship, whispering words in her alien tongue. The ship's hull shimmered and changed color, blending with the shadows of the hangar. Ethan stared in awe. "You can cloak it?" She nodded. "For a short time, but they will still sense me." Ethan thought quickly. "Then let's make them look somewhere else," he said, running to the control panel, activating the outpost's old beacon. He tuned it to transmit false plasma readings, enough to mimic her ship's signature but miles away. Her eyes widened, slightly impressed. "You think like a warrior," she said. He smirked. "No, just an engineer who hates losing good machinery." As the fake signal pinged through the desert, explosions echoed in the distance. The soldiers must have landed near the false target. Dust and fire rose on the horizon. She turned toward him again, her voice soft. "You risked your life twice now, human. Why?" Ethan looked at her, his voice calm. "Because someone has to." For a long moment, they stood there, two strangers from different worlds, connected by trust and danger. Outside, the desert wind howled like a warning, but inside that hangar a strange bond was forming, fragile, quiet, and powerful. She looked at him one last time before resting again near her ship, her voice barely above a whisper. "You have courage, Ethan Cole. More than many kings I've met." He smiled faintly, not understanding the full meaning of her words, unaware that the woman he had just saved was not only a survivor, but a queen whose fate could change the stars themselves. The Queen's Secret, HFY sci-fi story. The night returned, silent and heavy. The stars above the canyon shimmered like scattered diamonds. The wind whispered through the metal panels of the hangar, carrying with it a strange stillness. Ethan sat near the glowing alien ship, tools beside him, his eyes half closed from exhaustion. Across the room the woman slept, her armor now fully recharged, light pulsing faintly beneath the plates like a heartbeat. He had learned her name by now. Lyra, short, simple, and yet it carried weight when she said it. Like a name known across distant worlds, Ethan couldn't sleep. Something about her bothered him, not in a bad way, but like a puzzle he couldn't solve. Her ship, her voice, her power, all of it felt larger than life. Beyond the reach of a simple mechanic like him, he stood and approached her ship quietly, touching the smooth surface. It responded with a soft hum, symbols lighting up beneath his hand. He pulled his hand back quickly. "Sorry," he whispered, but the ship seemed alive, responding to his curiosity with gentle warmth. Suddenly, he heard her voice from behind him, calm and distant. "She likes you." Ethan turned, startled. Lyra was awake, standing near the workbench, her silver hair glowing faintly under the lights. "Your ship likes me?" he asked, trying to smile. She nodded slowly. "The vessel senses intent. It trusts those who mean no harm." Ethan rubbed his neck awkwardly. "Well, I'm glad to be trusted by a spaceship," he said. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. "You are unlike others I have met. she said softly. Most humans fear what they do not understand. Ethan chuckled lightly. Fear doesn't fix things, and fixing is kind of my job. She didn't smile this time. Instead, her eyes turned toward the night sky. You should not have helped me, Ethan Cole, she whispered. They will come again stronger and they will destroy everything in their path. He frowned. Then tell me who they are, so I can at least know what I'm up against. Her silence lasted long enough to make the air heavy. Then she said, My name is Lyra Vareth. She paused, her voice almost trembling. I am the sovereign of the Varethian Empire. Ethan blinked, unsure if he heard right. Sovereign? Like a queen? She nodded slowly. Yes, queen. Empress, ruler. Titles matter little when your own people hunt you. Ethan stared at her in disbelief. You're saying your own empire wants you dead? She closed her eyes, her tone bitter. Power breeds envy. I trusted the wrong ones. High Council, my admirals, they plotted against me when I refused to destroy your species. They turned their fleets upon me. The words hit Ethan hard. Destroy my species? He repeated quietly. Lyra looked at him, guilt flickering in her eyes. Your kind frightened them. Humans grew faster, adapted quicker, and spread beyond what they expected. They called you dangerous, unpredictable. He gave a dry laugh. Guess they weren't wrong. She stepped closer, her voice lowering. But I saw something different when I first saw your transmissions. Art, music, laughter, sacrifice. I saw hope. Ethan's throat tightened. He didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken about humanity like that. Not even humans themselves. Lyra continued, her eyes distant. I spoke for you and the council said you deserved peace, not extinction. They called me weak, sentimental. They tried to remove me. I escaped, and my loyalists helped me flee. Ethan slowly understood now. The ship, the hunters, the fear. Everything made sense. She wasn't just another traveler, she was the most powerful woman in the galaxy, hiding inside his dusty hangar. And now you're here, he said quietly. On a forgotten world with one tired mechanic. Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile. Fate has strange ways, she said. Sometimes the smallest spark hides in the darkest places. Before Ethan could answer, the hangar lights flickered. A deep rumble echoed outside. The ground trembled. Radar alarms flashed red. Ethan rushed to the console, scanning the data. Multiple signatures incoming. Not drones this time, ships. Large ones, he said, his voice tense. Lyra moved to the window, her expression unreadable. They found me again, she whispered. Ethan grabbed his pulse rifle, an old model from the mining wars. Then we run, he said quickly. But she shook her head. They will track my energy. There is no hiding now, she said calmly, turning toward him. You should leave. Your kind should not die for me. He shook his head stubbornly. Not happening. I didn't fix that ship just to watch it get blown apart again. Her gaze softened, the blue in her eyes glowing brighter. You are either brave or foolish. Ethan Cole, she said. He grinned. Maybe both. Outside, the sound of engines roared closer. Dust clouds rose. Red lights painted the horizon. Lyra extended her hand toward him. A faint shimmer of energy wrapped around his body. What is this? He asked, surprised. A shield, she said quietly. Stay close to me. Whatever happens, do not run. Before he could reply, the roof shook violently. A blast wave hit the hangar, tearing metal apart. The night turned into chaos. Through the fire and smoke, Ethan saw the shape of towering machines landing nearby. Armored figures with glowing visors and plasma rifles. Lyra stepped forward, eyes burning bright, her voice echoing through the dust. You dare set foot on this world? She said. And for the first time, Ethan heard her true voice, powerful, royal, and terrifying. The soldiers hesitated, their scanners flickering. Then one shouted, Target confirmed! It's her! Ethan took a step back, his heart pounding, realizing the truth. He wasn't just helping a stranger anymore. He was standing beside a queen who commanded the stars. The Empire Awakens, HFY sci-fi story. The night sky burned red as the enemy ships descended. The ground shook beneath their engines. The desert sands rose in waves. Lightning danced across the sky from the sheer power of their reactors. Ethan had seen storms before, but nothing like this. This was war descending from the heavens. Inside the broken hangar, alarms blared, screens cracked, and sparks flew from the walls. Ethan grabbed what tools and weapons he could, but his eyes stayed on Lyra. She stood tall, calm, and completely still, her silver hair flowing in the heated wind, her blue eyes glowing brighter than any flame. The soldiers surrounded the hangar in seconds, armored giants with glowing rifles and strange sigils on their shoulders. One of them stepped forward and shouted through a translator, "Surrender, Varithian traitor. By the order of the new High Regent. Your reign ends tonight." Lyra didn't move, her face expressionless. Only her voice cut through the chaos, calm and commanding. "You speak of a regent who betrayed the blood oath of the stars. You dishonor your ancestors by standing before me armed." The soldiers hesitated. Even their weapons trembled slightly. There was weight in her words. Like ancient authority carved into their very code, Ethan watched her, amazed. He could feel it now. She wasn't just someone with power. She was power, alive, breathing, real. But the leader snarled, "Fire!" The world exploded in light. Beams of plasma tore through the hangar. Metal melted, sand turned to glass. Ethan covered his head as the blast wave tore through everything. But when the light faded, he opened his eyes and unfroze. A shimmering blue barrier surrounded him and Lyra. The plasma bolt stopped inches from the shield, dissolving like sparks on water. She hadn't even raised her hand. Her entire body glowed, energy flowing through her armor like veins of lightning. "You should have stayed loyal," she said, her voice low but echoing across the desert. And then the ground itself trembled. A deep, distant roar filled the air. The stars above shimmered, and then moved. Enormous shadows emerged from the void. Ships so massive they blotted out the moonlight. Dark silhouettes with golden emblems of the Varithian crown. Ethan's mouth fell open. "Are those—" "My fleet," she said softly. "The loyalists who never stopped searching for their queen." The enemy soldiers turned in panic, their scanners blaring warnings as hundreds of warships appeared in orbit. Their formations precise and silent. The sandstorm below whipped around as gravitational pressure increased. A transmission crackled through the air. A deep alien voice echoed from above. "This is Admiral Sareth of the Varithian Royal Guard. We have your signal, Your Majesty, awaiting your command." Ethan looked at her, realizing this moment wasn't just survival. It was history unfolding before his eyes. Lyra's expression softened for the first time since he met her. Relief flickered in her eyes. "Prepare orbital lock on hostile vessels," she commanded, her voice steady. "But no planetary strike, not while humans live here." Her soldiers obeyed instantly. Beams of golden energy lanced through the sky, tearing through the enemy ships like paper. Fire bloomed in the upper atmosphere. The night turned into a painting of war and light. Ethan stumbled outside, staring upward, his heart racing. The entire horizon was filled with her fleet. Elegant ships shaped like wings of light moving in perfect formation. The sound of thunder rolled across the desert. Lyra followed, standing beside him as the wind blew her silver hair across her face. "I never wanted this," she whispered. "I wanted peace." Ethan glanced at her. "And now?" She looked at him with calm sadness. "Now I must remind them what peace costs." The last of the enemy ships exploded, their wreckage falling like glowing rain. The sand lit up under the burning fragments. Lyra raised her hand and her fleet's weapons powered down. The storm slowly faded. Moments later, a smaller ship descended. Sleek and shining, it landed near the hangar. Alien soldiers in royal armor stepped out. They bowed deeply before her. One of them spoke in a trembling voice. "Your Majesty, the throne awaits. The rebellion has fallen." Lyra nodded slowly. "Good, but remember this day," she said coldly. "Remember who helped me when my own empire turned its back." The soldier glanced at Ethan, confused, then looked away, not understanding why a human stood beside their queen. Lyra turned to Ethan, her glowing armor dimming as the battle ended. "You have given me more than you know," she said softly. Ethan smiled tiredly. "I just fixed a ship." She stepped closer, her eyes holding his. "No, you fixed a heart long broken by power," she whispered. For a long moment they stood in silence, the wrecked hangar around them glowing under the light of her fleet, the air warm, filled with the echo of distant engines. Then her guards approached. "We must leave, Your Majesty," they said. Lyra looked back one last time, her gaze full of unspoken words. "Ethan Cole of Earth," she said, her voice royal yet soft. "The Varithian Empire owes you a debt that will never be forgotten." Before Ethan could reply, she turned and stepped aboard her ship. The engines roared, sand lifting in a blinding wave, and in seconds she was gone, leaving behind only silence, heat, and a single mechanic staring at the stars. As the sky cleared, Ethan stood alone in the desert, his hangar half destroyed, his heart racing. And though he didn't understand the full weight of what had happened, he knew one thing. Somewhere up there, among billions of stars, a queen remembered his name. The gift of a queen. HFY Sci-Fi Story weeks passed after the night of fire. The desert was calm again. Only the broken hangar and scattered metal reminded anyone that something extraordinary had happened. Ethan rebuilt what he could, welding new plates, cleaning burnt circuits, pretending life was normal, but inside, he felt the silence differently now. Every night he looked at the sky, half expecting to see a shimmer of blue light or hear her voice again, but the stars stayed quiet, distant, cold, still. He replayed every moment in his head. The crash. Her silver eyes, her calm voice, the fleet that filled the heavens. It felt like a dream. Too grand for someone like him. Yet every scratch on his tools, every mark on the floor proved it was real sometimes. He heard whispers from the radio. Strange coded signals that no human translator could read. Faint echoes of alien frequencies. He knew it had to be them. Maybe watching, maybe guarding. Then one night everything changed again. He was sitting by the workbench, half asleep, when the lights flickered. A low hum filled the air. The sand outside began to rise, swirling in perfect circles. Then, a beam of light appeared right in the center of the hangar. Soft and golden, Ethan stepped back, shielding his eyes. A small object descended slowly from the beam, floating gently until it touched the ground. The light faded and silence returned. It was a crystal, smooth and glowing, faint blue, about the size of his palm, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. He bent down and touched it, and suddenly, the hangar filled with a familiar voice. "Calm, gentle, unforgettable Ethan Cole," the voice said, echoing from the crystal. "You once repaired a broken ship, and in doing so, you repaired something far greater, my faith in your kind." He froze, staring at the crystal as her holographic image shimmered before him. She stood there radiant, dressed in royal armor lined with silver light, her crown faintly glowing, her expression warm and sad. "I could not return then," she continued, "for the Empire needed me and peace needed rebuilding. But I never forgot the man who saw me not as a queen, not as an alien, but as someone who needed help." Ethan's throat tightened. He whispered, "Lyra." Her image smiled, soft and human. "The galaxy now knows your name, Ethan Cole. The humans of Earth live under the protection of the Varithian Empire. Your world will no longer be hunted. Your kind will be free to reach the stars without fear." Ethan blinked in disbelief. "You did that? For us?" Her hologram nodded. "For you," she said quietly. "Because when no empire, no council, no army cared, one mechanic chose compassion over caution." She raised her hand, and the crystal brightened, projecting the image of a small ship outside, hovering silently over the dunes, sleek and shining with Varithian markings. "This is my gift," she said, "a vessel of exploration, bonded to your life signature. It will take you where your dreams lead, and it will protect you. As you once protected me." Ethan stepped toward the open door. Staring at the craft, its metal reflected the sunrise, and for the first time, he saw his future beyond this planet. Her image flickered gently. "When you fly beyond the stars, remember, kindness travels faster than light," she said softly. "And the universe will remember the human who helped a queen." The hologram faded, leaving only the faint hum of the crystal. Ethan held it close, feeling warmth in his hands. Like holding a heartbeat, he stepped outside. The cold wind brushing his face, the alien ship waited silently, its ramp open as if inviting him. He looked up at the endless sky, the stars glowing brighter than ever, and smiled. "Guess I've got some repairs to make out there too," he said quietly. Climbing aboard, the ship responded to his touch. Lights coming alive, panels shifting, the controls glowing softly under his hands. He felt it connect to him, like her ship once did to her. Engines roared, sand lifted in waves, and the desert blurred beneath him, the horizon opening into infinite blue. He took one last look at the small hangar that had once been his entire world, and whispered, "Thank you, Lyra." As the ship rose higher, the stars seemed to move aside for him, the galaxy vast, waiting, alive with endless possibilities. Somewhere far away, aboard a throne of light surrounded by her loyal fleet, Empress Lyra Vareth stood before a star map. Watching a single blue signal move into open space, a faint smile crossed her face. Her guard approached and bowed. "Your Majesty, is it wise to let him wander the stars alone?" Lyra looked at the endless map and whispered, "He will never be alone, not while the galaxy remembers what humanity truly is." The stars around her throne glowed brighter, the fleets aligned in silence, and somewhere between them, a small human ship drifted freely through the cosmic sea, carrying not just one man, but the memory of an empire changed forever, and thus began a legend whispered across the stars, of the human mechanic who fixed a queen ship and healed a galaxy's heart.